everyone, it's Leona from Leona's Designs. Today I'm going to try making some faux paper. I've made it before using just plain blank paper, but today I wanted to try making it using printed papers. I want to reuse some of these printed papers that I have on hand. Sometimes they're misprints, sometimes they're instructions or letters that you get in the mail that you no longer need, or just various printed papers that aren't useful anymore, maybe old schoolwork or different things that you just usually shred. Today I wanted to see if I could repurpose them into faux paper, and what that would do would be to cover the writing. So I'm going to try this and see how it works. I haven't tried it before, but I really have a lot of these printed papers, and I thought before I shred them, I would like to see if I could repurpose them to use them in journals. So that's my plan. I've got some of my homemade Mod Podge here. It's just Elmer's glue and water mixed. I mix it just by hand. I didn't really have a measurement, but I think it's probably like 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 glue and 1/3 water. I'm just going to put that on the page and start putting down some of my elements, which are going to be on this one. Since it's pink, I want to put some of the rose petals that I saved from my rose bush in the summer. Got a lot of rose bushes, and I saved the petals. So I'll put a generous amount of glue on your page. And then, if you want to put some flower petals, just crumple them up and scatter them around. Just randomly. Try not to get anything that's too thick or hard. You don't want that to poke through the napkin, which we're going to be putting on at the end. So put that down, and then you can either use some coffee grounds or tea, leftover tea from your tea bags that you've emptied, or seeds, or just herbs. Just something you might want to just scatter on for interest. Not anything that's really going to poke through your napkin later on. So I used some herbal tea. And then if you want to use some tea bags, I have this tea bag here. I think it was pomegranate, raspberry tea or something, but it's pink. So I'm going to just use a few bits of that, just tear off a few little bits, scatter that around, just to add some texture and interest. Since the page is pink, I think it'll blend right in beautifully. Glue's starting to dry. And let's see, what else? I think that's all I'm going to put on this one. And then what you want to do after you get your elements on there, you want to take a napkin. It can either be a plain white napkin, a printed napkin, whatever. And you lay that down, and then you put the glue on top of it. So I thought this napkin was beautiful, and that's what I'm going to use this, and hopefully that will also help me cover up that printing on the page that I wanted to cover up so I could repurpose and use this in my journal. I'm just laying it down on paper. There's still a little bit of glue that is helping it to stick down. Get it down as far as you can. I might have to add a little more napkin. It's not totally, it's got to totally cover the page. I don't have any more of that napkin, but I'll just add a little bit of just a plain white napkin that I have. And it doesn't matter if it's the napkins. You know, pieced like that, because it'll all blend in the end once you get your glue on there. I see there's a little bit of gap right there in the middle to cover that up. Okay, I think we're ready for the glue now. Usually you start from the middle and carefully cover the whole napkin with glue. Being careful not to tear the napkin, but also making sure that you work out any air bubbles. And just keep doing that until you get the whole page covered with glue and napkin. So I'm going to keep working on this and I will be back. Okay, I'm almost completely finished covering this with glue. I did find one piece that was kind of hard sticking up, which I had to remove and put a little tissue over it to cover that hole up. But other than that, everything, whoop, I just said everything was going good, and I just pressed a little too hard there. But if that happens, you don't have to worry. You can just put a piece of napkin over it and cover it up. When it gets wet like that, you have to be really careful, because the napkin will tear. But it can be repaired. Now I'm just going over it, making sure that there's no air bubbles. And that everything's covered in glue. Okay, looks good. Oop, right here is a little piece sticking up. Little piece of that flower petal, a little too hard. I'll put a little piece of napkin over, cover that hole. Okay, I'm going to let this dry and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. The other one is drying, so while that is drying, I thought we could do another one. I want to do this one kind of in a vintagey vibe. So I have this plain piece of white paper it's printed on. It's an old recipe that I misprinted or something, and I don't need to save. So I'm going to cover it with the glue, and my idea is to make it look vintagey. I have a brown napkin that I got from McDonald's, and I thought that might work to give it kind of a brown tan vintagey color. Not sure how it'll turn out, but kind of fun to try. Covering it with glue. Make sure you get every place. And I didn't tell you before, but put a piece of wax paper down underneath your paper. And once you're done and once it's dry, it will peel off that wax paper. So what I'm going to do on this one is I've got some leaves from last fall. And I'm just going to crunch up. I dried these leaves and I'm just going to crunch them up and sprinkle them around. Just to give it some texture and interest. And to help cover up the writing, printing. Okay, I think that's enough. Maybe I should use this whole leaf. Crunch it up really good. Throw the stem away. We don't want that in there. Okay, I think that's good. And now I decided I want to try to use a little coffee grounds instead of the tea. I think that looks pretty good. And then I got one of these tea bags. I'm going to tear up and just put around some small pieces of that. Okay, and then I think that's all. We can put our napkin on top. And like I said, this is just a plain napkin from McDonald's, and it's a 1-ply, so it should cover the whole page. Just put that on and press it down. If it wrinkles up a little bit, doesn't matter, because I think that adds to the look of the page and the texture. Okay, then we just need to go over this with some more glue. Oops, I should have started in the middle. Start in the middle and go out. Finish up here since I started here. I think this is going to end up to be a really nice looking page. The best part is I'm using up what is considered trash. Just a napkin from McDonald's. Old misprinted piece of white paper that would have got shredded by me. Maybe by some people it would have just got thrown in the trash. I like to recycle and repurpose. And some crunched up, dried up leaves, coffee grounds, and tea bags. And hopefully we'll have a new page for a journal. Trying to use the jelly plate and this faux paper method to repurpose all my misprinted papers and unwanted printed papers that I no longer need, so I can repurpose them and use them in my journals instead of just shred them. I mean, if I do shred them, I can make handmade paper out of them, but this would be fun to try. I think it's looking pretty good. I think I got glue everywhere. Excuse me, I'm not seeing any air bubbles. So I'm going to let this dry and the other one dry, and I will be back. All right, here we are back. The papers are dried. I think they turned out very beautiful. I really, really like this one. Looks very vintage, I think. And this one is very beautiful. So now we just need to tear them off the wax paper. And they should come off fairly easy. Oops. Try that one a little bit too much. Not coming off as easily as I thought they would. I think the last time I used parchment paper. So maybe that was the problem. I should have used parchment paper instead of wax paper. But it'll still come off. I just got to be a little more careful. Okay, they came off. I just have to trim the edges where the napkins overlapped. And I might iron it down, but it's going to make a beautiful journal page. This side was the pink blank side. This side has the writing. You can still see some of the writing, which is okay by me, but if it's writing or if it's printing that is sensitive or that you really don't, you know, it's private, that you don't want anyone to read, you could either use your sheets on the jelly plate to get paint over the print, or probably gesso it. If I had gessoed this printing, it wouldn't have showed up quite so much so bold that you could read it. So the next time I will do that. But this, it doesn't matter to me if it can be read, because it's a beautiful poem about Valentine's and God. And so this would make the journal page. Okay, that one was beautiful, success, I think. Now this one, it's got napkin all around the outside. I'm going to have to peel off. Oops. Yeah, this wax paper isn't really waxy enough, I guess. No, I didn't have this problem before. I either had waxy or wax paper, or I used parchment paper. But a little persistence and a little careful maneuvering, we will get it free. Okay, we are free. Just have to tear off this excess napkin. And we have a beautiful vintage page. Now this printing you can also see. I could have gessoed it. I didn't. It's a recipe for strawberry frosting, so it doesn't really matter to me if people can read it. But if you wouldn't want it read, then you would need to gesso it or paint it. And it feels really stiff and crispy, just like handmade paper. So I think it's really nice. I'll probably do some tea dye staining on here, just to make it blend in with this. But anyway, if you enjoyed watching, I really enjoyed doing this, and I will be doing it more again. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the box below. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.